Hey everyone, this week I've got a full review of 1 Million Golden Oud. Stay tuned. Okay, so actually I have previously recorded a first impression, and I typically am not a fan of first impressions just because I feel like you can change your opinion dramatically over time after you wear a fragrance. So I recorded my first impressions, and I'll throw that in right here. Okay, so first impressions of 1 Million Golden Oud, Middle Eastern exclusive. Pick this one up. Let me unwrap this. I don't have notes here. I'm just gonna spray it on skin and give you my thoughts, and then we'll go back to the rest of the video. So, box is a standard 1 Million box. The fragrance itself, I have a 200 ml bottle is the only other 1 Million fragrance I have, so this feels like a nice little fun-sized version of it to me. But I do like this bottle style. I know people think it's gaudy. Maybe it is, but I think it's fun. I like this green gem too on it. That's pretty nice. I'll put a picture up on there. All right, let's see. Really give it a good spray. Okay, I already caught a whiff of it. Wow. That is so much more interesting than every other 1 Million that I've smelled. Okay, there's a lot going on in here though. So the last 1 Million besides Lucky that I smelled was actually the Royal, the new 1 Million Royal, which is very ambery. This to me still kind of that sweet 1 Million sort of DNA, but I feel like on top of it, it's got this kind of like dark, rugged smokiness. I don't know, like I'm not good enough to tell you if this is real oud or not, but this is a Middle Eastern exclusive, so if it's a Middle Eastern exclusive, at least if they're not using real oud, I imagine that they are going to be designing their oud accord to be much more like Middle Eastern ouds. I will say, just off the bat, thinking of comparing this to something like Oud Wood or something like that, you know, one of the other Western ouds that I'm familiar with, or Oud for Glory in my case, I think. Yeah, or Oud for Greatness, whichever one is the clone. It doesn't have that kind of clean, almost rubbery smell that I feel like Western oud accords have. It's kind of got this is like a rich, sweet, smoky. That's really pleasant. I really like this a lot. I feel like it's really warm, as you might expect. That's a really nice scent. So I'm glad I got this. This was obviously blind buy. I don't know how you would get it any other way, but that's really interesting. I wonder why don't they release more stuff like that over here? Like this is, I mean, frankly, I don't know. I've smelled a lot of the other 1 Million line. I went to Ulta and smelled, you know, Parfum, Elixir, yada, yada, yada. They're all kind of middling to me. I don't think it's just an age thing either, because I like plenty of scents for 15-year-olds, you know what I mean? Like, I'm fine with that. I guess those other ones just are kind of, they're all kind of feeling pretty samey to me. This feels like a true flanker that's doing something different, distinct from the line. I like it though. This is really, really pleasant. I'm gonna wear this more, but I imagine that this is just gonna kind of be like a blanket, a warm blanket of a fragrance. Because I kind of imagine it just enveloping you, and I want to check out the sillage on this thing, because that's kind of the thing that the original 1 Million Lucky got me big on, was like the sillage and just kind of smelling the difference between in the air versus, you know, up close when you're digging your nose into it to smell it. Obviously it's going to be different, and obviously in the dry down, but first impressions, as it's kind of drying down, I'm starting to pick out, I think it's saffron. I feel like I heard somewhere that one of the notes is saffron, and from what I understand, saffron can come across a little bit leathery. I feel like there's some of that here. Like when I'm smelling this, I'm picturing like the color brown with like a little bit of fur. Like I'm picturing maybe kind of a dusty leather, but it isn't like this is not to me a leather fragrance. I think to me this is a much more incensey, smoky fragrance, and maybe that's the oud accord. But it's kind of like taking a lighter version of that 1 million DNA and then putting on top of it this kind of resinous, incensey thing. So it's really nice with this contrast of the, you know, you get the bitterness with like smoke and things like that, and with the sweetness of the 1 million DNA and that ambery base. I like that. I like when fragrances can do those contrasts well, and I feel like this one does. I also feel like this is probably, like I was talking about age earlier, but this probably does appeal to an older demographic. I like it though. It feels nice. It feels more mature. Feels less youthful, maybe. None of that to say is that it's not fun, because I think that's, I like fun fragrances, and that's one of the things I like about the 1 million line is, yeah, they're sweet, but they're fun, you know what I mean? This is interesting. I like this. All right, back to the video. Okay, so since then I've had a chance to wear this a few times, and I'm actually wearing it today. I'll spray on some freshness, but the bottle itself, as you probably have seen, is regular 1 million style. It's got the green gem here, kind of like the Royal, I believe is the name of it, that has the red gem. And I have the little 100 ml bottle, as I mentioned in the other video. The only other bottle I have is 200 ml, so this feels like a nice fun size little bar for me. But the scent itself, my opinion on it hasn't really changed a lot from that first impression. I think this is phenomenal, as I suspected. Smells beautiful in the air. It has a lot of like, and after that initial opening, which is, like I said in the thing, you get a lot of that smoke. I feel like incense, there's a lot of spices in there. Once it dries down into that, I feel like you're kind of more into the traditional 1 million territory, which for me is, well, in the dry down. I'll get to the dry down. I just remembered this one part here. I'm gonna spray this on, give myself a fresh take. So yeah, in the opening, this really beautiful, spicy, kind of resinous, smoky scent is absolutely beautiful. As I said, it's absolutely gorgeous in the air. It fills the room, just like you would expect from a 1 million fragrance. I think one thing that I note about this that I haven't been hearing from a lot of other people that talk about it, I've heard people talk about leather. There's a little bit of a leather aspect to it, especially in the dry down, though it's not nearly as intense as I've heard other people say. For me, the thing that I pick up more of in this is actually the iris. I haven't heard people talk about that much, and I am especially sensitive to iris because it's not one of my favorite notes. But I will say in this, it's actually very pleasant. I feel like the implementation of this is kind of, it doesn't smell like a Givenchy Gentleman, one of those, or the Flankers, but kind of in that same line of that kind of really mature use of iris, that you get that. There's a little bit of the lipstick element, but it is very well blended with everything else, so it doesn't scream that it's the only thing in there like I feel like a lot of iris fragrances do. This may actually be a good fragrance for me to build my appreciation for iris. Traditionally, it's been a note that is like pretty difficult for me. I'm just not big on the powdery notes or the lipsticky or makeup-y notes. But this has a lot else going on. You got the spices and the smoke, and then you have a little bit of that leather, and then you have that ambery, woody base that is so signature with the 1 million line. I think all of them kind of, for me, eventually kind of dry down into that where you're getting those kind of wood shavings. Oh, no more light. All right. Eventually it dries down and you get kind of more of that traditional wood shavings that you expect from the 1 million line with the amber. In this case though, there's also some extra sweetness elements added that are a little bit more, I would say, they're more balanced than a typical 1 million fragrance. Usually a 1 million fragrance, or at least the last few flankers that I've smelled, they've been very, very sweet and kind of, for me, a little overpoweringly sweet because of what else they've got going on in this case. Or in this case though, it's much more of a balance, like it's sweet in the dry down, which is on this side. It's kind of just like a sweet woodsy scent, a little bit of amber, and you still get some of that iris and some of the stuff from the top. Like you still have a lot of it. It doesn't change massively. I would just say you start to get other notes that come out a little bit more. Overall, I think this is amazing. I like it a lot. I'm super happy with it. I'm excited to wear this more, especially now in these months. I feel like this is really primed for fall and winter. I don't know if I would wear this one in particular much in the spring or the summer. Feels like it's a little bit much. It might be a little bit much for that type of weather, but this does cut through the cold quite nicely. So if it's cooler, that's good. If you're wearing it inside primarily and it's going to be warm, I would suggest don't overdo it. This stuff is powerful, so you only need a few sprays in order to get the effect. And just like in my experience with the rest of the 1 million line, it lasts a good long time. For me, I would rank this probably from what I've smelled. I never got to smell Privé. My understanding that's the best in the line. Sucks that I'll never get to smell it, but oh well. Lucky for me is number one. I like Lucky. The other ones I've smelled in the last few years have been just a little bit odd to me. I feel like the Elixir had like kind of almost a grape note to it. I think that was some florals that they had in there. I don't know, I'm kind of interested to get back to those and spend a little bit more time with them and see if they grow on me at all. But they didn't really do much for me. I think I only have like one experience with 1 Million Royal, and the first impressions on that one were also very positive. I kind of want to do a side by side because I feel like this is probably more close to 1 Million Royal than it is to the other flankers that have come out the last few years. As far as the actual oud, I don't think there's tons of oud in this one. I think I mentioned that as well in the thing. I don't smell that, but maybe I just have an untrained nose. Either way, I think it's a beautiful fragrance. If you get a chance to smell it, you should. You can buy decants, and I recommend doing that. Sample it if you're at all questionable. It is limited edition, so if this is something that you have a hankering for, I would grab it while you can, because these things are a pain in the butt, and I wish I had the one luminous night, but I don't. So I'm suffering from not having grabbed that when I had the chance, it seems like, because no one seems to be getting it back in stock. Oh well. This one's good though. So I think this is one of the better 1 millions in several years. I wish they would do more stuff like this stateside. I feel like a lot of these Middle Eastern exclusives that I get my hands on and I smell, they're interesting, they're different. I understand they may not be mass appealing to the American market, but clearly there's a market for it here, even in smaller numbers, because people here are, they go crazy for this kind of stuff. In the fragrance community, if you're self-selecting enough to actually be watching a video about fragrances, you're the kind of person that would be into this, and there are hundreds of thousands of people like that in the fragrance community based on views, I would imagine. This might trend a little bit older as a fragrance than some of the other stuff though, so maybe that's why they don't do it here. It wouldn't be as popular, but I don't know. There's a million bajillion fragrances, you know? It just seems weird that you would cut the market off for something like this where there's a demand, but maybe there's just not enough of demand. Anyway, have you smelled this yet? If you have, let me know what your thoughts are on it, and yeah, let me know. I want to hear. So talk to you soon, and I'll see you next week. Bye.